President of the Senate, Minister, President of the BBVA Foundation, ambassadors, secretaries of state, authorities, awardees, members of the jury, ladies and gentlemen. Dear colleagues, one more year, and this makes 3, and I hope it will continue for many more. Not for me, but for the awards. This is the 3rd year that I have the honor and the pleasure of representing the state institution, the CSIC, in the handing out of these awards of the BBVA Foundation. First, I would like to congratulate the award winners for their contributions to science and the arts, as well as the foundation for its decided support to research and cultural creation of excellence, and more so at a time when the horizon seems to be darkened by very black clouds of a crisis, which, as we said, was said usually of droughts, is pertinent and uncertain. But in this horizon, these awards open some light in these clouds and show clearly the magnificent fruits that may be given due to the collaboration between the public and the private sector. For the CSIC to advise the BBVA Foundation in the pre-selection of the candidacies and the members of the juries is a privilege, and believe me that there are many hours of work of tens of people, scientists, in order to be able to be objective, independent, and have criteria of excellence. And all these we owe to the good leadership exerted throughout the process by Professors Juan José Damborenea from the CSIC, Rafael Pardo from the Foundation, although he has also been working as a professor at the CSIC. And thanks to both of them and the people who are represented here because of their excellent work. To be here among colleagues as distinguished as the people who are writing science with a capital and who contribute in a decisive fashion to the improvement of the living conditions and the quality of life of the inhabitants of this planet fills us with satisfaction and pride. But it encourages us to continue claiming the need to bet on knowledge and as a form of research and artistic creation as the engine for the expected change in the present economic model. In this sense, it is urgent to reconsider one of the basic objectives of the Lisbon strategy, to convert the European economy into a more competitive and dynamic economy based in knowledge and capable of growing in a sustainable way with more and better jobs and with greater social cohesion. End of the quote. There is no doubt that this objective is today more important than ever, and to achieve it will depend in large measure on the capacity to articulate real policies for support and promotion of research between the different administrations, the Europeans, the national, the local, and the sectors of production and the entrepreneurial associations and scientific field, and therefore we should all be capable of contributing new ideas to this so hoped for model of economic growth. We speak of ideas as a synonym of knowledge because these ideas, modeled by science and art, becomes engines of progress. Helmut Lachermann, who received this year the award for contemporary music, summarized it very well when he expressed the role of music, and allow me to extend this to all the other sciences, and I quote here, an idea which is always new and helps us to take one leap forward beyond the frontiers of our thought. This is the leading thread that has moved these 8 people and their respective teams. Only from this perspective of leaping over the borders of knowledge may we understand the real dimension for the people who are receiving today this award. And I will never tire myself of repeating it also for the research personnel who carry out their work anywhere in the world and sometimes under very difficult conditions. Science and art have never been simple professions. The challenges jump up to the scientist, and when he has not yet reached the end, he is looking for a new goal. Professor Gabor Somozsal mentioned when he was notified of the award, we went from not knowing what was happening in chemical reactions to contemplating an unexpected landscape, as unexpected as the work of Professor Hansen, trying to combine economic theory and statistical methods to see and whether we can understand how the economic actors move in changing situations of risk. But if we speak of environments of change, we have to refer to Professor Knut, who said, a happy man, since I don't have an email. And Professor Knut is the father of the algorithms that allow us to write scientific texts and whose job consists in finding out what will be long-lasting in science, in computer sciences, in future years. And what is to come will necessarily constitute a step forward for humankind, because this work will be united to those carried out in the sciences of life and the environment. In the year 2010, we celebrated the International Year of Biodiversity, and very few people know or knew at the time that behind a term that was already usual in our daily conversations lies the working hard as an ant, and please forgive me for using this, which is a typical Spanish expression, of Professor Wilson, who has dedicated more than 50 years to the observation of the world that surrounds him, and particularly that of social insects. I was saying that the world is constantly changing, and so that this change will not devour us and end with the planet. Science has ideas that will allow us to propose solutions, not to adopt them, because that is not that is the competence of other people. And that is why, as Professor Stern has said, if we act now, we will prevent much more damage and much serious damage in the future. For example, the loss of this biodiversity that we have referred to, including vegetable wealth, harvests, would entail poverty and hunger. And this is why, by giving an award to the International Research Institute on Rice, we are awarding one of the fundamental missions of science to be at the service of society and its development. And I want to finish with a few words for Dr. Yamanaka when he was communicated the concession of the award. I feel grateful for many of the scientists whose discoveries have served as the basis for my work. You will allow me, on behalf of all the personnel from the High Council of Scientific Research and also of all independent researchers, no matter where they work, that we thank you for all your work and sacrifice, which, as I said before, science is not a simple profession, but it is fascinating. We necessarily had to have some advantage. And I also wish to repeat my thanks to the BBVA Foundation in its continuous task of acknowledgement and sponsorship of research, because I'm fully convinced that the President is as passionate in this as I am, and also our Minister for Science and Innovation in Spain, who for the third time, as the President has mentioned, is honoring us with presiding this event. And we are all convinced that science and the achievements of science are achievements of all and for all. Thank you very much, and congratulations.